Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Beda Vibhagine Vyomavda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Savavedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satiguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste Om Ishwara. So just to doing a quick recap, we are chapter 9 verse 28 to 30. Krishna Guru is dealing with the topic of bhakti and the distinction, making a distinction between Sakama and Niskama bhakti. We have seen that. And he highlighted that Sakama bhakti requires Rajoguna. So he says the bhakta, or the Sakama bhakta, requires a lot of Rajoguna. So we could call Rajasa bhakta as well, because as we know, requires a lot of energy to be a grihastha and to use your life situation to do puja or to do sadhana by transform your day-to-day activities into devotional karma yoga. So, and then it's a devotional more devotional attitudes and actions permeated by this devotional attitude, they require more rajoguna. So tamoguna does not allow for any form of offering, because you need to have the energy required to interact and present your actions possibly with a religious spiritual attitude that converts one's actions into sadhana. So we don't touch the subject of tamasic karmas, but we say niskama bhakta is the one who is mostly sattvic. So we have seen that. We are invited to transform gradually our sakama attitude into niskama bhakti attitude gradually. So, and then the next step, of course, is the Yana Yoga, the Upanishadic, which goes into Nididhyasana, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, and so on. So, Krishna reminds us that in Niskama Bhakti, there is desire. The desire is materialistic by nature. And niskama is when that worldly materialistic desire is left behind, and one desires above all to contribute to the field. One's attitude is mostly aiming spiritual growth, spiritual development, spiritual refinement, and so on. So it's niskama is the highest manifestation or expression of devotion. Now, besides, of course, the nididhyasana, which requires a different kind of devotion. So, and Swami says that if one wants to ask for help, that is a good way to present one's prayers, one's pujas, okay? So seeking help is a very, very important attitude that requires one of the highest possible pre-qualifications, which is humility, modesty with humility. Even people who have a lot of Rajaguna and they invoke the Lord to go and live their lives and accomplish their materialistic goals, even these people, they can use their wealth to serve the field. Unfortunately, all the billionaires, the mouth billionaires, they don't seem to contribute much for the field. And they just, it's almost like a game to them. Who is going to be the first trillionaire? I mean, it's so absurd. What are you going to do with all this money? It's just a concept rather than put it in the economy and helping people, opening new opportunities, And but anyhow, some people may be very rich and they use the money to serve the Dharma field. Okay, so we go from from Sakama Bhakti to Niskama Bhakti to Mumukshu Bhakti. Mumukshu Bhakti is the ultimate, the highest level of devotion, which is devotion to the Upanishadic scriptures that reveals the true nature of God as the only nature of this apparent reality, okay, which is Nirguna Atma, Nirguna Brahman. The attitude behind all these sadhanas is that what most counts. Sakama devotee is involved in a lot of actions, ritualistic actions, ceremonies and pujas and verbal, mental, physical actions to offer something. So all of that is irrelevant once you grow to become a Niskama Bhakta. A Niskama Bhakta, which counts above all, is not your rituals and pujas, but it's your inner attitude, living your life from that perspective of offering as a return and giving something back to Ishvara, the one principle, intelligent, supreme intelligence that is holding it in place so that we can interact, learn, and grow. So therefore, every offering, it's as if you are offering to the Lord. So again, let's talk about that a little bit, Lynn. So how are we going to be offering our actions to the Lord all the time? It's impossible. It's not that you're all the time saying, "Oh, I'm washing the dish. I'm washing for you, Lord." It is not possible. It reminds me of the story when I was running my restaurant in Olympia, Washington, and I got the self-recognition. Uh, After decades of obsession with it. And then I was afraid, and I was going to my restaurant. Just remember, I am consciousness. All there is consciousness, and I am consciousness. And then I couldn't do my job properly. Okay. So once you learn the science of Kama Yoga, the rationale, the logic of Kama Yoga, and then that is held in your mind, and then you're going to interact with the field. It's not that you are doing every step you're offering to Ishvara, every breath you're offering to Ishvara, every movement. No, it's just that in the background there is an attitude of offering. Is the attitude is something that goes into the unconscious mind. The same with self-knowledge. So it's not that you remember all the time, I am the self, I am the self, I am the self. The knowledge is well established in one's subconscious mind, the causal body. It remains in the background, okay? So it remains there, that sense of peace and security, which is derived from knowing that there is only consciousness, and consciousness is never affected by anything which is apparently projected upon itself. So how to offer everything. And your attitude is an attitude, of offering something and be thankful for whatsoever parabat we get. This is the attitude which is there permeating our interaction. So the point of view of how you say for didactics or for illustration as if you are offering your actions at the feet of the Lord. So what's the feet? The Lord doesn't have any feet. The statue of Krishna has a feet and this and that. So now you are Kami Yogi. You are Niskama Kami Yogi. So you want spiritual purity, spiritual growth, because your final goal is self-knowledge and freedom from the problems of samsara. Huh? So when we get there, for this Niskama Bhakta, he is not really concerned. Why? I don't have no control over anything, you know. I mean, I never look back to see what I did, if it was the right thing or the wrong thing. I will never forget one thing. When I was involved with my first guru, I went one time back to Germany. I was, after the community broke down, I went back and forth a few times to Germany to try to go back and settle down there. And one time, a friend of mine, a woman, hosted me, and she was packing up to go to Pune on those days. Uh, or somewhere she was going to see our first guru. And when she came back after a week or two, I stayed in her apartment. She was trying to talk to me that it was really the right thing I did to go there. I mean, how crazy. She went there, instead of having a good time, and come back. She was talking to me that, "Oh, no, it was the right thing I did because of the." I mean, I was looking at that, listening to that, and say, "Oh my God." I mean, what craziness is this one? Why to be concerned about what's the right thing or the wrong thing, you know? So the this Kama Bhakta is not concerned with anything, it just responds to the field with whatsoever knowledge is established in his subconscious mind, and then the attitude is going to be the fragrance of that knowledge, with the fragrance of happiness and peace and appreciation for the opportunity, without trying to control, without trying to have any expectation which conduces to frustration. So none of that is there. In fact, a goodness come back that does not have any fear of the future, no sense of insecurity. That's why I say Karma Yoga frees the individual almost as much as self-knowledge and moksha, because only this knowledge, once it's really established in one's causal mind or causal body or unconscious mind, it frees the individual from most of the psychological problems, which is the best definition of the sickness of samsara. You understand?
I was thinking of this in terms of free will. And it seems to me that once you've got the sankalpa around this, um, that dharma just is understood more clearly, so much more clearly. That choice, you just go with dharma. So the choices you used to have that take you up and down into dharmaka, even a little bit adharmaka, dharma, it goes away. And it's like you're freed from the tyranny of choice in a way,
Yeah.
because you've made one choice.
Yeah. That's very beautifully and profound. Yeah. Beautifully put and profound. Because somehow you don't want to do sadhana for the rest of your life. You don't want to be discriminating what is dharma, what's the dharma. So the initial process of discriminating, understanding what is dharma, understand what is a dharma, seeing during your interactions with your life, the ways that you do things that are dharmic. Okay, and why I do that? It's just the usual ignorance, spiritual ignorance, avidya. So you in the beginning you look at that, and then you somehow your life gets adjusted and conformed to observe Dharma, and that again goes into the subconscious mind, and you tend to be appreciative, respectful towards other people, other creatures, the environment. You wish no harm to anyone, and you don't do things to others that you don't want to be done against you. All of that becomes natural, and you don't need to exercise your choice, as you're saying. It's there. That's what I often refer as a knowledge that's well established. You understand? No concern, no anxiety. That kind of thing should never come to me and these, no. So you just accept everything as it comes. never looking back to find fault to oneself or anybody else, you know. For a truly Niskama Karma Yogi or Bhakta, whatever comes is all right, is welcome. That's what we say is that everything that comes is taken as an opportunity to learn, to grow, to connect the dots, is seen as prasada. Karma Yoga is just offering, presenting your actions with a certain attitude of appreciation, attitude of offering, of dedication, you know, with a happy, a light, happy heart, with no complaints, just doing what life is asking you to be done, you know. Oh no, the person's don't like, the person cannot do anything. You cannot imagine how much doing I do every day. Understand? I have a small piece of land that generates all kinds of projects and work for me. I have a house that has to be cleaned every day and food cooked every day. I have a huge amount of work. I don't stop from beginning to the end of the day. You understand? And it's also beautiful. You know, it's also beautiful. I mean, what do you want? You know, no complaints. It's just doing your actions in a happy way with an attitude of appreciation and trying to offer something to the field, and then receiving the fruits of it as another opportunity for connecting the dots, you know. Karma Yoga and Niskama Bhakti are synonymous. So Niskama Bhakti is a Karma Yogi of the highest possible level. Two different names for the same thing. It's like saying, so I want to study the scriptures of Upanishads, and then I want to study also the scriptures of Vedanta. No, they are the same thing. So you are Kami Yogi, you are Niskama Bhakta. Bhakti must be present. And where is that Ishvara? Somebody asked everywhere. So where is it not? So if I have to live with this attitude of devotion, devotion requires an object of devotion. The object of devotion is the so-called God. Okay, that nowadays people say that is something that is of the past, you know, backward mentality. God, there is no God, there is only science, there is only nature. Well, for Anastika, God is now here. Now this vote came very correct. And no, where is just gave again? Now here, nowhere. So the materialist people, you know, the atheists, they say there is no God. You see, what is God? I never seen anybody that met God, you know. But for people with a certain refinement of mind, refinement of intellect and heart, God is a principle that can never be negated. Therefore, the question, but well, I mean, prove to me what is this God? And then the question, the answer suggests by Dayananda is the best answer is tell me where is it not? Huh? Where is it not? So, how you think that you are saying these words? Which power is allowing you to stay alive and exercise your Viveka Shakti and saying these words, studying the script. Which power is that, you know? Which power holds this universe in place in this corner? Now, in this corner, this planet, now our world is a small planet in a corner of this solar system, which is insignificant before the entire cosmos that nobody has idea how vast it is. So it's mind-boggling everything, and there must be an incredible intelligence principle because everything is structured very intelligently. following all kinds of laws and principles. So that takes us to the verse 28, which says, in this manner, Arjuna, you will be freed from all bounds of actions, which calls punya and papa. So in this manner, you'll be freed from all bounds of action. So all actions that binds into samsara, all actions that creates a mental disturbance, mental psychological suffering, makes you tied to try to to find a victim to point your finger against, or otherwise you get something, it successfully binds you because you want more and better if possible, so you are bound in the cycle of actions in its result. The result is the cause of punya papa, how long you're going to enjoy the sweet fruits of your actions and suffer the bitter fruits, how long? Oh, okay, that's the way of life. Okay. So, and then go for it. It's okay. Punya papa, processing punya papa. You come with a lot of punya papa, vasanas, yeah, conditioned for punya and papa, and then you keep processing them. And the goal is what? To develop a bank account where there is only punya, and then you're going to get only favorable prabhada circumstance, So that's impossible. That's absolutely impossible. And it takes someone to come to a certain degree of maturity to understand that to be bound to punya papa is a setup that's going to worn out the person, is going to exhaust the person to a point that the person, may review one's strategy of life. With a mind devoted to Sanyasa and Yoga, renunciation, renouncing this obsession with the physical, energetic, material, dualistic world, actions and its results. As devoted to sannyasa and yoga, you will be liberated while living. This is the concept of the Jivan Mukta. And then it will attain me after death. So this is all something that has to be understood. It's not that you're going to go to a certain loka to meet with Brahma Loka. No, if you go to a certain loka, it's because you are not liberated while alive, while still incarnated. So if you have a lot of punya, your punya account, your karmic account may take you to Brahma Loka. There you're going to meet with Brahmaji. Yeah? But here now, here it says that if you go through this process, you're going to free from the bondage of actions and its results, which cause just punya papa or sukhan and dukhan, yeah, pleasures and pains, So life is just an experience of pleasure and pain, because I got a favorable desire result, but unfavorable desire results as well. And then I'm just confused how to get only favorable desires here, favorable circumstance. Yeah? So this is bondage. But if you develop viveka, developed vairagya, this passion, you become a sannyas. Sannyas here is again is better described as an inner attitude of renouncing this this system, action and its results. Okay, doing actions to enjoy punya, but a lot of the time the actions of the anyani, of the samsari, produce papa because they are so excited about getting what they want and that they do improper action that produce papa. So you are going to be liberated because you renounce that system, you renounce that ignorance that compels one to put actions to enjoy the fruits of those actions, as if someone would one day develop the power to put good actions to produce only good result. It's impossible. It's impossible. No matter how pure one person is. Okay. And there is only power. But the person is so pure that it never deserves power. But the person is one's actions is one factor among many other factors operating in the field. So in the field, there are my actions and everybody else's actions, and then cosmic powers, force, nature, force of nature. And there are so many things. The fact is that there will be always room for pleasure and pain. And if that is not enough for Yani, a highly sanctified, purified soul may come to old age and suffer terrible disease, that produce incredible physical pain as well. So Punya Papa, pleasure and pain is inherent to the construct, body, mind, sense construct. And then attain means to say you just goes beyond the sense of identity, this me, my story, my desires, my vasanas, my punyas, my papas, my parabada, all of that should go when the soul understands, that there is only consciousness and everything is just a apparent projection upon consciousness, which is the only reality, which is my own nature. So once you get to that in analogy, using this famous metaphor, you identify with the water. You don't identify any longer with the wave. You try at the beginning to identify with the ocean, which means Ishvara, trying to control the field, and then you see that that is stupidity. And then you comes to Vedanta and say, okay, I must identify with the water and then I am free because the water is the only reality. So you become Brahman, you attain Brahman by understanding that which was always attained because it's the intrinsic nature of Ishwara, Jiva, and Jagat. Everything is only Brahman appearing as Ishwara, Jiva, and Jagata. And the Jiva is the principle. Ishwara is already self-realized, but Jiva comes here due to enormous ignorance, but with the potential to realize it's through her own true nature in Brahman as Brahma. So the result of Kama Yoga and Niskama Bhakti is this. Krishna says that every puja that you do, any service you do, you have to have this kind of attitude. So there are people who are born and they say that in Brazil they say in Portuguese nasceu num berço de ouro. They were born in a very rich family, very rich condition, and then the little house, the little of the baby, that little thing, um berço we call in Portuguese language, is of the gold. You are born in a golden small berço, né? And so if you are born that way, it means that you have a lot of punya. But what kind of punya? Materialistic punya. You understand? So you come with materialistic punya as well, but comes a point that you no longer are interested in that kind of punya. Materialist punya has some material well-being or practical beings. A lot of money is okay, but unless you use the money to serve society, to help society, it becomes like a poison. It becomes a toxic thing, because the problem with being rich is that you get what you get, and then later on you start seeing that some people got much more than you. And then the attitude of feeling smaller is there, competition is there, and then the rat race continues, not on the bottom here, but here, everybody's on the rat race. Bill Gates and Elon Musk, everybody. So materialistic advantage may help you if you are real religious, spiritual soul. Going to one of these superior lockers, okay? So we have those lockers above, some locus below our dimension here, physical material that we know. So there are some upper celestial locus in which you're going to enjoy punya. So that is also a materialistic goal. That is also a materialistic punya. Okay, so this is important because people believe that, oh, I'm so spiritual because I want to go to the fifth or the sixth dimension or loka or this and that, you know. No, that is just more materialism. So I like to call it spiritual materialism. But puja can also produce spiritual punya, which is what is said here. Not only you go to one of these locusts to enjoy this materialistic punya, but you may get also materialistic, more conducive births. You know, you may be born in a better culture, in a better time, you know, in which the conditions are more conducive for your spiritual elevation. You may be born in a rich country, but if your parents are dharmic, that's not going to help. You may be born in a rich country. If your parents are rich as well, you want them to be very dharmic people and people who are trying to grow spiritually as well, you know. So the problem is that we live in such a solid, dense ignorance that the richest countries, they always become, how to say, imperialists, you know. They just want to go and control everything, you know, control the resource of everywhere. We do my way because, you know, this is the law of the jungle, you know. That's it. It's all imperialists are like that. It was before with Great Britain and before one after the other. So, but that comes a point that things turn. Why we are seeing so much potential wars all over, potential for a third world war? Because now the greatest, the richest, the most powerful nation of the world is collapsing. It's losing its position, its status. Now, its current US dollar, you know, is also losing. And every imperialistic society or nation does not want to let go of that position of power. And they more often than not, they go for a total war rather than just accepting, okay? That the world has changed and now I'm no longer the supreme power of the planet. So all of that involves some punya, materialistic punya, but the goal here, he even mentioned Bill Gates here, the richest parent, child of Bill Gates, like that, it would be a punya, materialistic punya. Certainly there must be some punya. So you're going to enjoy a lot of pleasures, you know. So he said that's also kind of punya. We may have water problems, mosquitoes problems in our culture, but here we have an opportunity for spirituality. You know, the scriptures here in India are alive. I remember one time there was a period of time that Papaji was encouraging people to get babies. I don't know where he got that idea from. You know, and there was a guy who was an American. He came from the ashram, my first guru, and he was well known, the famous therapist and this and that. And then he was he was one of the first to meet with Papaji. And then after some time, Papaji was in this mood of asking people to marry and having children because marriage between man and woman is the highest possible level of relationship. And you don't choose any other relationship. You are born as a son or a daughter of parents, and you did not choose really. So, but your husband and wife apparently some free will, some possibility of choice there, therefore is the highest, blah, blah, blah. And then a lot of people got married and most people divorced or separate shortly afterwards. But anyhow, this American guy had a baby with his girlfriend. And then they went back to the States. And then after some time, he came back with the babe and his wife. Shortly afterward, they broke up. But in one of the satsangs, he was there with the babe talking to Papaji, and he was saying, I'm going to live in the USA because this place here is a mess. You see, the air is polluted, the water is polluted, there is crowds, noise. Everything is bad here. I don't want my child to be brought up in such a messy place. Papaji destroyed the guy. He was so materialistic, You don't know that here we are poor. There is all these adversities, but people are always smiling. They are happy. You understand? Because they spiritually they are more elevated. Why? Because the culture is still alive, the scripture is still alive, the gurus are still present and available. To be born in an Indian culture, many people believe that's Papa, therefore they go to America, and then they see that he is Papa and there is Punya. That is spiritual, materialistic Punya. But if you want a spiritual Punya, you're better off in India. So anyhow, I wouldn't go back to Pune, to India for different reasons, because one of them is that I don't need to have a certain atmosphere conducive to sadhanas anymore. But I understand the richness of India as the spiritual capital of the world. A spiritual environment, Punya environment, comes when you deserve such a birth, Spiritual punya alone is the highest desire. We get spiritually oriented partner, parents, so be it. It's the greatest punya because right from the childhood, you are being influenced against this huge current of ignorance, of materialism. The other children are going to get other things, But you're going to be swimming against this current, the current of materialism, of ignorance, because the parents are too materialistic. It's a punya, but the highest punya is spiritual punya. So to be born a human being is said to be the very, very best kind of birth. And the second blessing in the Vivekachudamani in the chapter 3, I believe, to be born, as a human being. Segundo, the second is to have a desire, a spiritual vasta desire for spiritual growth and self-knowledge. And then the third thing is to get association with the scripture and guru package. So thus puja can give you any one of these things. So puja means the same spiritual sadhana, not the Vedantic Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa, but up to Niskama Bhakti or Karma Yoga. Okay, so all of that is going to give you the opportunity, at least if you qualify to move it into Vedanta, into the Upanishad teachings within the same lifetime. Good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to get a different punya. You're going to get a different birth. But what's so special about these births? I come here with a desire for spiritual development and moksha. Okay?
I found the translation for this verse from Vivekachudamani, and it's beautiful. And it says, having somehow obtained the rare human birth and thereto exalted qualities and mastery over the Vedas, the person of deluded intellect who would not strive for his or her freedom is indeed committing suicide by holding on to the unreal. He or she destroys oneself.
Yeah. I love this concept of spiritual suicidal. And please post it in our group, okay?
Okay.
So, spiritual suicidal refers to someone who got the best possible circumstance to progress, to develop, to grow spiritually, and not losing focus or orientation in one's life in spite of all difficulties. But the desire for self-knowledge and moksha is there. And not only that is going to give one an opportunity to choose with one's association. The association is very important. Some people get in contact with these teachings of Vedanta. They come because they have a certain spiritual vasana, but then not being fully qualified for Vedanta, they don't associate with the scriptures of the Upanishads and the Gita. They don't associate with guru. They go to other level of gurus, okay, which are not conducive to real self-knowledge and freedom. But all of that is okay. Everybody gets what one deserves. But ultimately, so if the person has all these conditions and yet turns back to materialism to become a full-on samsari, the notion here, the concept is it's like losing a huge opportunity, almost as if you commit spiritual suicide. So you cannot ask for both. You can say, I want both. So the sadhanas will give you any one of these two punyas. So you're going to have opportunity for materialist punya or spiritual punya. So, and we want to choose what kind of punya we want. And this kama bhakta converts one sadhana into a spiritual punya, so a spiritual growth. So that's what I want, you know. I don't want any more worldly gains, materialist gains. I want to heal my mind. I want to work on my body, mind, sense complex. My mind is my primary instrument of experience slash knowledge. So I have to keep it in good shape. And for that, I need to be doing whatsoever I do, wanting spiritual gains, not just security and pleasures or favorable circumstance to my enjoyment. Therefore, the person renounces what? Material punya. He renounce actions put into the system with the aim of enjoying its results. The results are usually at that first level as a sakama bhakta is the results is artha kama, security and sensory pleasures, entertainment. So of course he is free from material papa and also therefore niskama bhakta transcends both punya and papa. So as a niskama bhakta, so you don't care for punya and papa anymore, material punya and papa, and even spiritual punya and papa, because you have no expectations. You just do your best, live your life. The attitude is well established. You don't even need to be much doing any sadhana except keeping up with association with the scriptures, which is the way you feed your mind with the knowledge that naturally but surely gets established in your subconscious mind. And in that way, this Kama Yoga, this Niskama Bhakti transcends the expectation towards Punya and Papa. Arjuna, you will be free from Subha Palan, Punya Palan. Here, Punya means material Punya, and Asubha, and from Asubha, Papai, what is this? from papan also. He will be free. There is an understanding behind all of that. Why the individual is free from punya papa? Because after all, he understands that there is no real object of experience or gain of anything in life in this level of materialistic gains, gains for the sake of pleasures and securities. None of these contains really punya or happiness or sukham. Okay, so any object and circumstance or situations of life or parameter, everything is an object because we can see them manifesting before us. So we see all of this, and I transcend punya and papa to the degree that I understand that every circumstance is materialistic by nature, is mithya circumstance. And I decide whether this is punya or papa by attributing value to begin with, okay, to certain things that I want, I like, okay, and certain things that I don't want or I want to avoid. So once you understand all of that, you begin developing a vairagya or equanimity because you see there is no real punya and papa. And this is a setup. I was projecting punya Sukha and Dukkha in these things, and now I say I am the only source of Sukha and Dukkha. The Karma Yoga begins getting that and reaping the freedom that comes from that understanding as well. You will be free as a Karma Yoga of this highest possible level. Why he will not get Papa now? Swami is going to put some explanation in his word. We have said that when Niskama Bhakti, even when the rules are violated, he will not get papansin. This is the first advantage, is a technicality that we don't need to get much involved. We have covered some of it in the previous classes. And we are not into rituals. We never done any rituals. We jumped right into Niskama Bhakti Yoga or Niskama Karma Yoga or Niskama Bhakti. Yeah? So therefore, we don't need to deal with those technologies of doing pujas. So, and the attitude is everything. The rules are not important. So I transcend that problem to begin with. Therefore, Aniskama Bhakti, even violation of the rule, will not produce papa. This is another angle that, we don't want to go there. Then we may wonder, transcend may be good, but transcend punya, how can you say good? So transcend punya. What is the deal here? There is no punya without papa. Punya is always side by side with papa. You understand? Punya already contains in itself papa because the moment you start enjoying some favorable circumstance, and there is also papa being developed, which is the fear that things will change, how I can keep this state, how I can keep this circumstance in a world where everything is changing so fast, especially nowadays. So there is no security. How are you going to transcend this punya papa? I want to transcend only the papas. I want to have only punyas. You transcend both because it comes in one package. You either transcend both or you remain bound to both. Okay? Krishna says karma, both punya and papa are bounds only. Furthermore, if you want punya, punya bounds you. It is a nice kind of golden chain that binds you to a certain pleasurable circumstance, and you don't want to be bound to anything. Papa is bondage because you are all the time running to avoid, running from, try make an effort to push it away. So you are bound. People say, so you love what you hate. Why? Because if you hate something, you're going to be bound to what you hate. You understand? So punya is good, but once I get some punya, sufficient punya, this punya should serve for what? For mature the mind. So, meaning to say that punya is the best possible environment on which I can grow spiritually. Because if I am reaping, papa, 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 my mind is all the time disturbed. But if I'm living in a circumstance of punya, I should not enjoy that punya by itself as an end, but I have to understand this is a circumstance, for example. And for those of us who are born in a period of time of prosperity in the Western world, I had to move to the West because in the lower south of of, of the America, the life was very difficult, regardless of the time of prosperity. But anyhow, you're born in a nice time. There is prosperity and so on. Huh? And why I'm saying that? Transcend may be good, transcend punya, how, yeah, Papa is born, punya is good. Once you have sufficient mature, we say punya also bad. Okay, I was going to say something, but I forgot. But the concept is like punya is good. But one of the things about punya is that it changed into papa. I mean, it may take some time. Oh, now we are living in the United States. It's a dream. You know, especially maybe during the 80s and 90s, and everybody was rich and the life was good. One person would work and having three children and one car and living a good middle class lifestyle. But changed, everything changed. Yeah. So then you get attached to that, and then you're gonna be in trouble when things change. Therefore, you need to transcend punya papa, understand that they come in one single package. Oh yeah, become sufficient mature. So in the beginning stage, papa is bad, punya is good. But once the soul matures, okay, and then one understands that nothing remains the same in this world, this punya circumstance is not really permanent, it's changing moment to moment. And furthermore, on the overall level of the economy and the lifestyle, the living status, not the living quality of life of a society in a certain country, may be like, wow, this is wonderful, but be sure that will change. Peace will be followed by wars. Wars will be followed by a period of peace. That is the nature of a video, this spiritual ignorance that makes human beings living like animals, following the law of the jungle. The stronger ones go and finish up the weaker ones. All of that in the name of democracy and freedom. So transcending all these pair, Punya Papa is a huge pair of opposites, and Iskama Bhakta will get that. It gets this beautiful title. This Kama Yoga became an Iskama Bhakta. And the title here is Padi Mabusam. Krishna also gives a title to Niskama Bhakta or Kama Yogi. And what is this title? Sanyasa Yoga Yuktam. So they have the reasons to create these expressions. The same way I myself, in my small little thing here, I keep inventing some expressions. The only difference that these are our greatest Mahatmas, and then all of that remains registered, So Kama Yogi is Niskama Bhakta, which is also Sannyasa Yoga Yuktama. So he's both a sannyas and a yogi who Niskama Bhakta or Kama Yoga, he has got sannyasa and also yoga. So yoga here most probably means living in the world, going and accomplishing your goals of life as a householder, but in a certain manner or attitude that is a spiritual sadhana. And he's a sannyas because he has renounced the idea of controlling the environment, controlling one's experience, and so on. Sannyasa means renunciation, literally, as we know. How do you say that a Kama Yogi who is a Grihasta, what kind of renunciation is this? How can a Kama Yogi, a Grihasta, be associated with renunciation? He's leaving the world. He has a house. He has family. He has car and this and that. So it's an inner renunciation, very much doing karma. He's said to be endowed with renunciation because he's able to renounce his materialistic desires and use his spiritual effort for inner growth. So there is a huge level of renunciation that before I was living totally, totally uh, directed towards artha kama, secured money, properties, assets, and so on, and pleasures, entertainments. All I need in life is this to be an enjoyer. And then he matures, and then he renounces that kind of life in pursuit of security and pleasures, and he turns into the pursuit of Dharma and the pursuit of spiritual growth. This is a huge, huge, huge step, a huge renunciation. Okay? Therefore, Kama Tyaga makes him a sannyas without being a traditional sannyas. Krishna has elaborated on that on the 6th chapter that we have seen in the Portuguese classes. He renounced this in one level. In another level, he renounced materialistic goals because he understood that it does not deliver. So materialistic achievements does not deliver that peace of mind or that sattvic mind. Yeah? That at that level one knows to be the most important element for my spiritual growth. So he renounced that because he has a certain knowledge. Which knowledge? The knowledge of Mita, the knowledge of Shwara Jiva Jagata, the knowledge how things work here. Running to achieve and gain, accomplish materialistic things. What are the materialistic things? Artha, Kama, and Dharma to a certain degree. When you go for Dharma, the third kind of human pursuit, we have to understand there are two levels there. One of them is spiritual materialism. I want to be a saint. I want to enjoy beautiful mental states. I want to leave this body and go to a higher locker. All of that is part of desiring something above the desires for security and pleasures, sensory, physical, material pleasures. So now I want celestial pleasures, or I want certain mental states. All of that goes into also the third human pursuit, which is said to be the third D, the desire for Dharma. But there is another aspect to the third D, which is the desire for spiritual purification, mental refinement, and that is also a pursuit of Dharma. I am observing Dharma to begin with because a Kama Yoga has to observe Dharma. Now, I don't want materialistic punya, materialistic spiritual punya. Now I want inner growth, inner development, mental purification, mental refinement. I'm doing what I'm doing, but I'm doing because I'm prepping myself for self-knowledge and moksha. So this is the other side of the pursuit of Dharma. Okay. the third D. And then that is going to bring the individual to the pursuit of self-knowledge in moksha, which requires the individual to be relatively qualified or prepped, prepared. So therefore, he becomes a sannyasi without having to use a robe and without having to leave society. And if we drop the anxiety regarding material thing, it's the greatest possible renunciation we can attain. So this is all very beautiful. We're gonna get back to all of this. Thursday, we said, Lynn?
That's
Okay.
right.
Anything from you?
Just loving this so much. It's a great chapter.
Yeah. Okay. Good luck with your surgery tomorrow. We meet again this coming Thursday. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate Om Shanti 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 Om. Okay, namaste. See you later, alligator. Thank you, Ronaldo.
I don't know.
Namaste.
Namaste.